The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
Rav Nachman Seltzer brings on this story that happened to the great rabbi in Eretz Yisrael, Rav Nissen Kaplan Shalita. I'm sure many of you have heard of Rav Nissen Kaplan, especially those that learned in Eretz Yisrael and those that learned in the Mir. He lives in Har Nof, actually not too far away from where I used to live. And before I moved to America, he actually opened a yeshiva right across the street from my house. It's unbelievable. Right there in Rehov Kablan, he has his beautiful yeshiva. And the story happens with him. One night, he's preparing a shiur late at night, and the phone rings. Someone's calling that late at night. You know, it's something important. The rabbi answers the phone, and he hears a lady crying. And the lady starts talking. And he hears from the voice, he recognizes the voice. This is his Talmid's wife. And she's crying to the rabbi. The child was sick. The child was crying. They don't know what happened. They rushed him to the emergency room. It was obviously seeming very serious. And the doctors, they're doing all their tests, and they're not finding what's happening. If anything, it looks quite serious. And they're not sure what to tell these parents. And the doctor, after one of the tests, comes out, and he tells the parents, listen, we have to do more testing. We're not sure exactly what it is. It could be something very serious. In the meantime, we suggest that one of you go home. No point for both of you being here. So the husband says that he's going to stay in the hospital, and the wife goes home. How much sleep is she going to get? Who could even imagine? And as she walks into her house, she sees the phone, and the message button is blinking. Someone left a message. She runs to the message machine, to the answering machine. She pushes the button, and she hears that it's her husband's partner talking. Frantic, screaming how the business is going through a tremendous financial loss. They're taking a hit, and they need to stabilize the business because they're losing everything. Oily mi yitzri, oily mi yitzri. From inside the house, from outside the house, this lady is getting hit. Outside the house, in the hospital, the baby, the doctors don't know what's happening. She's scared, she's crying for her child. Now she comes home, her husband's business is crashing. She's crying, what is happening? She's on the phone, explaining this to the rabbi. And she's saying, Rabbi, what is this? What can I do? She's crying desperately for help. So the rabbi hears this, and he tells the lady, listen, I'm going to go tomorrow, Friday morning, Be'ezat Hashem, to the Kotel, and I'm going to pray for you. B'janan, tefillah from the great rabbi, such a amazing place, what greater than the Kotel HaMa'aravi. The next morning, the rabbi wakes up with such a sickness. He felt so different, was not feeling himself. And he's trying to think, Erev Shabbat, what could he take off his list that's not so desperately needed to be done today? What does he not have to do today? And then he remembers that he's got to go to the Kotel. That he cannot mevater on. The Kotel, he's got to go to the Kotel. He told her that he's going to go to the Kotel and pray. He goes to the Kotel and pray. So sure enough, he makes it to the Kotel. He starts praying to Borei Olam for his Talmid and his wife's Hatzlacha, that the child should feel good. The Parnasah should go back up, Be'ezrat Hashem. But still the rabbi is really not feeling himself. The rabbi is feeling very weak. The rabbi is very sick. For Talmid, what won't you do? On the way out of the Kotel, he's looking for a taxi. There's no taxis. So he gets onto a bus. Being that the rabbi was so out of it, he got on the wrong bus. And there he is, he's sitting down on the bus, putting his head down, trying to go to sleep. And you know when you're on the bus, and you're trying to go to sleep, you're so sick, you just want nothing to do with that. You just want to put your head down and just knock out for 2 hours. And there the rabbi is putting his head down on the bus. And then he feels a tap on the shoulder. He turns around and he sees tzaddik of a yid, peot, glasses, tzitzit. He didn't know who the person is, and I don't even know if the person knew who the rabbi was. He just tapped on him randomly. The rabbi turns around, he sees this tzaddik. The tzaddik sees the rabbi, and he goes to him. Rebbe, you want to hear shtickle maaseh? No, I don't want to hear shtickle maaseh. What makes you think I want to hear shtickle maaseh? The last thing I want to do right now, I just want to go to sleep. The rabbi is of course not going to say that to him. So with the tremendous midot that the rabbi has, he says, of course. And he says, the way the maaseh goes is there was once a yid. And this yid had a child that was sick. So he runs to his Rebbe and he says, Rebbe, you got to give my son a beracha. He's sick, he's not feeling well, please give him a beracha. And the Rabbi hears the pleas of the Talmud. And he says back, do I look like a miracle worker? Like I could just say whatever I want and Hashem does it? Who do you think I am? You coming to me for a beracha, what can I do for you? But you know something? At one point of the week, I actually could do something for you. Anytime, especially one time. And that's Leil Shabbat. Leil Shabbat, when you do Kiddush, on Leil Shabbat, Friday night, the Kiddush, you are becoming partners with Borei Olam in the creation of the world. When you Mekadesh the Shabbat, you become a Shutaf b'Maaseh Bereshit. You are declaring Borei Olam as the Melech of the world. You are becoming Hashem's partner. That's a Gemara. And as a partner, I have a say in the business. Leil Shabbat, after Kiddush, I will pray for you. I'm a partner. And Be'ezrat Hashem, b'zchut tefillah, your son will feel better. And sure enough, that's what happened. And the son got better. The rabbi's hearing this beautiful shtickle maaseh. He says, thank you very much. And he puts his head back down. A few minutes later, again that tzaddik taps the rabbi's shoulder. The rabbi puts his head up, turns around, he sees the same tzaddik there. And he says to him, Rebbe, you want to hear a shtickle maaseh? No, I don't want to hear a shtickle maaseh. I'll put your head down. Sure, I want to hear a shtickle maaseh. Bechavod. He says there was once a chassid, and his business was going down. And he runs to his Rebbe. Rav Nissen Kaplan says over the story. He runs to his Rebbe. He says, Rebbe, the business is going down. Please pray. And the Rebbe says to him, let me ask you a question. On Shabbos, do you talk about the business? He says, Rebbe, all week long I'm away from the house. I come home for Shabbos. Sometimes I speak to my wife about the business. He says, Shabbos, you speak about business to the wife. That's Shabbos. Give me your word. You're not going to talk about the business on Shabbos. And I give you my word, Be'ezrat Hashem, your business is going back up. He gave him his word, and sure enough, Baruch Hashem, the business went back up. Thank you very much for that shtickle maaseh. And the rabbi thanks the Yid, puts his head back down to sleep. On the wrong bus, eventually gets off the bus, taxi, home. Long story short, he starts telling his wife about the whole maaseh that happened on the way back from the kotel as well. And it didn't even hit him until he was saying over the maaseh what Hashem just landed in his arms. He's not possible, Lord! Borei Olam was sending me the Yeshua straight to me. He calls the Talmud, the wife answers, he says, wait, I just want to tell you something. I pray for you by the kotel, but by the way, on Leil Shabbos, when you do Kiddush, you have a zechut to be partners with Borei Olam in the creation of the world. And as a partner, you have a say. So I'm telling you, for this Shabbat, what you should do is right after Kiddush, pray for your son that he should feel better. Thank you so much, Rabbi, for sure. And then he says, by the way, about your husband's business. Do you ever speak about the business with your husband? She says, sometimes he's away all week. I barely get to see him. She says, and yeah, they speak a little bit about the business. He says, accept upon yourself, you're not going to speak about the business on Shabbat. She says, I accept. They hang up the phone, Shabbat Shalom. Motzei Shabbat, his Talmud calls the Rabbi back up. And he says, Rabbi, baby's back home. Baruch Hashem, everything is perfectly fine. And the business was stabilized and everything is good. Shabbat is the Mekor HaBeracha. When you connect to Shabbat, there is no galut. When you connect to the mitzvot and you connect to Shabbat, there's no galut, there's no exile, there's sarot and Be'ezrat Hashem.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org